Shut up and sit down.
Welcome everyone. I just wanted to make a short video about an update to the Resolute MXB Server Manager for version 1.2, kind of some changes to the interface I did, and kind of go over the features of the Pro version. The Pro version includes extra features not available in the basic license. I charge $5 US, pretty cheap for all the work I've put in on this. I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks to everybody that has purchased a Pro license. I appreciate it a lot. Keeps me going, and I will be adding even more features to this in the future. So if you don't have a Pro license, you can still start up one server. You won't have some of these advanced features that I'm going to show. All right, so the first thing, version 1.2. You will notice we have this new box on the left-hand side called MXB Servers, and we have another box over here for controlling the servers for the connection. Most people, when you see this, you're going to be connected just to the local host 127.0.0.1. That is your PC, and that's how most people will use this application. For advanced users, again, the new connection, you can connect to another server. You could be running this application, for instance, on a hosted virtual machine in the cloud, or an actual physical machine, somebody else's on a different network. You can connect to that server with your own version of this application and control the dedicated servers that are there. But again, for most people, you're just going to be using the local host, which is your own machine. So for instance, this one, we're going to add a new server. And you'll see we now have it populate in this left-hand side, and I will add a name to it, server 1. Then you will go through the same old thing of setting up everything. All that you need is a name and what track you're going to do. We're going to go dirt park. Be sure to select your bike categories. Not required, but it is a good idea. Limit the categories that you're setting up on a server, because that will help limit the amount of bike models that have to get loaded or are supported on a server. That will help with people getting those infinite sync problems if they have very slow PCs and very slow disks. So the more that you can limit the categories, the better. All right, and that's all we needed. That's all we need to start this. So we're going to go ahead and start our server. Some new status messages pop up. Our dedicated server window pops up, and you'll see we now have a green icon next to our server, and that's how we know it's running. You can hide this window, do whatever, and it will still show the green icon for you. So now that our server is running, another change I made is you can't edit the items when the server is running. That just didn't really make sense, because you would have to stop and start the server anyways to have the changes take effect. So you will notice everything is grayed out except for the player list, and we will go over that in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and add another server. Because you have the Pro version, you can add more servers. So you can either come here, go to the Add New Server button, or you can come down to the options. And let's say you wanted to make another server, you could do a copy and create new. And that is just going to make a copy of that and name it the same thing, but we're going to go server 2. And it will have all of the same settings that we had on our first server. This is very helpful if you're running a race series. Just set up one. You want to set up one qualifying lobby, and you want to set up copies of that. Just copy your first one and then go in and just change the name. We'd have quali 2. I can't spell it, but anyways, quali 2, something like that. And so on and so forth. And you would just do that until you had all your qualifying lobbies, start them up, and you're good to go without having to manually set the items for each one. So again, here's our server 2, started that one up. One of the other features of Pro version is we can start and stop all of our servers at one time. There we go. We stopped them all, and then we're going to start them up. Take a few seconds for all of them to start, but eventually then you will see all of your icons change to green. They're running, telling you what port they're running on. All right, let's talk about remote admin. Click this remote admin button. That'll pop up this new window. The remote admin is used to send commands down to your MX Bikes dedicated server. This comes in really handy. For instance, if you're running a championship, you don't need multiple people hosting your lobbies on different machines if you have enough bandwidth to support it. So I could run 3-4 lobbies from my own machine and just use remote admin windows to each one, and I can start practice, I can start the races, start qualifying, send messages to people, make people admin remotely. Let's go over that and show you how that works. So first thing you can do, reset server. You can see it sent that restart command right there. That just resets the session. Please note there could be a bug right now with this feature, and it's an MX Bikes bug, not a bug in my system. From what I've heard, there are some weird things that happen when you use that restart command. So test it yourself. Just beware, there could be a bug. It's in the game. Reset track. That's to reset your deformation, your deform. Do the track reset. That'll reset everything for the track. If you want to start practice, pre-qualify, qualify practice, qualify warm-up, race 1, race 2. All of these buttons will be activated depending on the type of configuration that you are running. So again, if we go over to race, this is set up so we have our qualify practice, warm-up. We all have those set to 0. So that is why these buttons are disabled, because they're disabled in the server anyways, so you can't start them. If we would have had that set higher, would have been able to, the button would have been enabled and we would have been able to click it. So just to be aware, if you're seeing things that aren't activated, look at your configuration, and that is why. So if we wanted to start practice, we're just going to go like that. Practice is starting. And of course, people have to be connected to your server for these things to happen. We want to start race 1. It sends the command start race 1, and people will do that. So again, you're running a championship. You can run it. One person can run it, starting up all these lobbies. Right, so let's talk about the rider commands next. The rider commands, you need to know the rider number of people, of the rider that is connected to your server at the time. So if we know if rider number 5 is in there, or if we know their name, I could type in Resolute. We could send them messages, black flag them, eject them, or make them admins of the server. So to do that, again, you need to know their number or part of their name. And again, the game right now does not support, for this feature, names with multiple words. So if you type in space Kraken, it's going to actually send a message to Resolute. That would be me, but it's going to send the text message Kraken. So we don't want to really do that. So if you're trying to go by name, you can put in their first part of their name or even part of their name, and it will find the first writer it finds with that. If it finds multiple, I believe Pabozo told me that it won't send a message. So if there's 2 people whose usernames start with RES, it will ignore it. It won't send a private message, for instance, to only one of them or to both of them. So for now, it's better to go by the writer number. Again, you have to know their numbers that are connected. In the future, I will have an enhancement where I'll pre-populate that for you. All right, so if we want to send writer number 5 a private message, just do it like that. Send it. So it's sent at number 5, test message. That user would then see that in the chat in the game. If we wanted to black flag that writer, black flag, again, it sends the black number 5. They would be disqualified from your race. And if we want to eject them, we're going to eject number 5. They would get that ejection message. They would not be able to then race in that lobby. This, again, if you remember, if you've ever been banned from a lobby, they will not be able to connect back to this server until you stop and shut it down and restart it. So just be aware when you eject somebody, that is what is going to happen. If we wanted to make this writer an admin, it's gonna ask you, are you sure? When they're made an admin, that means that they can, this would be like the same thing as if they connected with the admin password to that lobby, and they can now change the server configuration from within game. So just be aware, but that's a handy thing to do if you have somebody helping you out with your server. You can make them an admin that way. Public message. You can send a test message to everybody, and everybody in chat will see that. A nice way to tell them that qualifying is starting, main event starting, etc. But everybody will see that, so just be aware and don't get confused if you're saying, oh, I want to send a message to writer number 5, and then you come down here accidentally instead of using the private. This will send it to everybody, even if you have something in there. Remember, this is the public chat. Just be aware of that. Now, another nice thing is if you're actually running multiple servers at the same time, you can have multiple remote admin windows up at the same time. So like I mentioned, if you're running a championship race and you can command multiple servers at the same time, we're going to send them race starting. I could copy that into both. And we're going to go send. We're sending that. And then we're going to start up our race one. Easy for one person to do that on multiple servers at one time. Don't need multiple admins doing that for you. All right, and that is everything for remote admin. All right, let's go over another feature, player list. Your allowed players and your banned players. Another name for this is the white list and the black list. The white list or allowed players, they have to exist in this table for them to be able to connect to your server. For the banned players, if you enter their GUID in there, they will not be allowed to connect no matter what. So if you don't like somebody, they've been, rude, racist, whatever, taking people out in your game, just behaving badly, you can get their GUID and you can then add them to your banned players list, and they will never be able to connect to one of your servers again if you just have it in each one of those. So, GUIDs. This is a big thing. It is in your profile page of the settings in your MX Bikes game when you open it up. Problem right now is that there's no easy way to copy that. I've asked Pibozo if he could put in a copy command to that window so it's easy for you to get it. The font that is used in game is terrible right now. It has people always mistake zeros for O's, B's for 8s, D's for zeros. So be sure when you try to get your GUID that you have the correct one. Double check it, triple check it, because if you provide one of these race series with an incorrect GUID, you will not be able to connect to the server. Another handy tool to find your GUID, you can go to guid.mymxb.com, type in your name, Resolute, and I can now copy my GUID from there. Please note, sometimes, depending what I have seen is your name might not be found in here. You had to have done a online race and finished it. and then the stats will update on the MXB stats website, and that's where this is pulled from. There are also cases where if you have an if you're using the standalone version and you have a license for the standalone, the GUID that's found here may not match what is in your profile settings. I would use the one that's in your profile just to ensure that is the correct one. I do not know why it shows different, but some people's do. But if you're using the Steam version, you're going to see a long GUID like this, and that should be good. Hit copy. And what we can do, you can come down here and we can paste that in, and it will then be added to the whitelist. Now we can do validate GUID, and it just validated it against the same list that was used to grab that from the stats page. My application will download those valid GUIDs every 45 minutes to your machine, and that file is then local and it can validate against it. So some other things about the whitelist that you can do is once there are GUIDs in there, you can assign people race numbers. So if you're running a championship series and you want somebody, they have a specific number, you can put in whatever number, and it does not have to match the number that they are using in their profile. Every time they connect to the server, it's going to use that number, for instance, 789, even though I have number 5 set in my profile settings. So this is really handy because then people don't have to go in, change their number for your specific series. Just use this whitelist system and you control what number they have. You can also set the name. So I don't have to have Resolute Kraken. I could do Resolute 16.9. When I connect to this lobby, that is the name that it is going to show in the results, in the chat, whatever. The name prefix. This is a prefix that gets appended to the results and in-game a little bit. You can put whatever you want, but please note the combination of the prefix and the name is also limited to 32 characters, I believe. So if you do that, yeah, it's not gonna, it could be cut off if you put a really long team name. The bike ID, if you want to specifically make somebody ride a specific bike, you could do that. You could just do the KX250F, whatever the actual folder name is in your mods for that bike. That would have to be, so it's probably, you know, if we're talking about the OEMs, we would have to be looking at the whole folder name of what it is. I have not specifically tested that too much, but that is another thing. The extra, you can type in some extra text. I don't know, you could put a team name here also. And it would then, the extra is only shown in the export of the results. So it's not shown in game anywhere, just in the results. So again, another place you could put a team name or something like that. All right, so let's copy. I'm going to copy in a whole bunch. Again, if you want to clear it, just go like that. You can clear it. And I'm going to copy in a whole bunch of names that I had from my sign up race sheet. I just copied it in. It had to be in the correct format from my spreadsheet. So I had the GUID, race number, and the name. And if we notice, we get some messages. GUID unknown. Please confirm this GUID, or it might cause problems with the player list. So taking this one as an example, this is a standalone GUID ID from the standalone version. It is correct, but we can't validate it again because we're going off of the stats page from Pobozo's website, and it shows a different one. So we know this is a correct one, so we can just kind of ignore this. If it is incorrect though, and just note, this is, I consider it a bug right now in the game. If this person has an incorrect GUID, all of these people below him or her will not be able to connect to the game. Because Pobozo, when he's parsing these files, he stops here when it's an invalid one. All of these people above him, they can connect fine. So again, just be aware of that. But if you hit the validate GUIDs, it will move everybody that we couldn't validate their GUID to the bottom of the list. So there's less chance of people not being able to connect. So you would only have to deal with these 4 people. If they could not connect, finding out which one had the actual incorrect GUID. All right, now we want to update this on the server. If our server is running, we have to use this. We would just go update, and you will see that our whitelist was updated on the server. Now those people should all be able to connect. They'll be assigned these numbers. And this is just a quick note for you guys running championships. If they will be assigned this number, but if they leave your server, they disconnect, they change bikes and come back with that different bike, they will just be assigned the random number. That's just how it works now, because the timing and scoring is tied to the bike as well. So just be aware of that. That could mess up some of your spreadsheets or other software if you're going by race number only. All right, that's all I have for you on this update of version 1.2 of the Resolute MXB Server Manager Pro. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, again, always go to help, go to the user manual, or go to the about, join the Discord, post in the appropriate channel. This is my own Discord for support of this. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave me some comments if you have any, and looking forward to you using my software. Thanks a lot.